good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Jump. Dima, storytime music! Listen, I used to love baseball a whole lot. I mean, collecting like Upper Deck baseball cards, Topps baseball cards. I mean, I grew up around, the Ken Griffey's of the world, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, when the game was still tight. Shout out to Bo Jackson, who ran up the wall and caught a goddamn, out back in the day. But Albert Pujols is a throwback kind of guy. I mean, he's a great baseball player. Has been in the game for over 20 years. Has over 679 home runs. Home run sound, Nemo! He's been killing shit. But the one thing I like about him is that, he's been married to his wife for 22 years. Stop the show. So he was married to his wife for 22 years. And his wife is a beautiful lady by the name of Deidre Pujols. They have 5 kids together, but she recently had brain surgery, and she tweeted about it before it happened and stuff like this. And then days after her surgery, shockingly to the world, Mr. Pujols released this statement. Sad music, Dima! I've been asked a lot of questions over the past few days regarding what's been going on at home. And sadly, after 22 years of marriage, I have made the decision to file for divorce from my wife, Deidre. I realize this is not the most opportune time with opening day approaching and other family events that have recently taken place. Stop the show. He tired because he mentioned the first thing was opening day and other family events that take place. He ain't even putting her at priority. He is tired of her shit. Sad music! These situations are never easy and it isn't something that just happened overnight. Pause. Let's read that again. Rewind effect, Dima. These situations are never easy and isn't something that just happened overnight. As a devout Christian, this is an outcome that I never wanted to see happen. For many long days and nights, I prayed asking the Lord for his guidance. I am thankful for the 5 beautiful children that we brought into this world and remain committed to raising them in a loving and safe environment. I ask you please respect our privacy and the privacy of our 5 children during this time. Now, let me just talk about this because as men, many of us, and I'm talking about guys because most guys get dumped. Let's talk about the situations that we in relationships. And usually when men in relationships, it's typically two things. One, we've lost any kind of competitive advantage where the woman has any respect for us. That is very common. Okay. Or 2, which is closely related, our needs are not being met for whatever reason. Typically 1 has to do with 2. And what happens is that men give up. Okay. And what does that mean? That means that many times the relationship has been over for years, 10 years, 15 years. You'll go through the motions of having sex sometimes. You'll go through the motions of saying hello to each other, but there's no spark there. And what's happened is that when you get through, you have problems in relationships. Men try to come back and usually talk that out. Hey, this is what's missing. That's what's missing. Maybe it's a sex or marriage. Maybe it's a communication issue. Those are problems that people have. And sometimes, women want a lot of times men to change. But what I found out is from the men that I've talked to, many times women are not willing to change. And there's many excuses for why that behavior keeps repeating. Oh, I'm not feeling well about myself. Oh, I'm not doing this, and oh, I'm not doing that. I just don't feel like it, but we can do it later on, so on and so forth. And that tends to happen. And so what most guys, when we see that behavior is not going to change and it's been the same for a year or 2, well, then what do most guys do? Most guys just, kind of just give up. And when there's a hope of like, it's not going to change anymore, it's not going to get any better, then sometimes men stop complaining. Men stop bitching and moaning about certain things. They just check out of the relationship. And so what's happened with this situation is that it looks like, oh, this is bad timing. You filed for divorce once your wife got out of surgery. But maybe for him, this was the opening. This was a good time that he needed to do it. I wouldn't have done it at that time, but this is why. He's been done with her for that long. He's tired of her. He can't say that. I'm tired of my wife. She doesn't make me happy. She doesn't make any attempt to make me happy. I've done everything I can in my power to try to make her happy. And for whatever reason, let's say, for example, you made mistakes and things like that, and you can't overcome them. I'm just over it. And when men have these feelings, they get demonized. Women can have these feelings and not necessarily get demonized. Oh, he wasn't doing this for me. Wasn't doing that for me. Listen, there's so many guys, and dealing in this black men's content. All right. Dealing in this content. You talk to guys all over society, guys who are PhDs, guys who hold great positions, guys who are just truck drivers, but we're still doing well. Some guys may have a fleet. Guys who are just attorneys, guys who are just accountants. Okay, guys who have millions of dollars, guys who don't have anything. And what's happening is that a lot of guys are just stuck in relationships because they can't do any better. Well, now you got a guy like Albert Pujols who can do better and already is doing better, because I can guarantee that he already has somebody. As a devout Christian, I'm pretty sure. Okay, and it's sad. I don't think this guy wanted to do this, but there's no hope. And I feel for the guy, because there's so many men out there that they know it's not going to get any better. And they're dying every day. They hate coming home. They hate seeing their wife every day, because it's going to lead to argument. It's not going to lead to anything. All it's going to just do is continue to be bad, bad, bad. And if a man divorces his wife and leaves his wife, it's really something bad that it's really something that she's not willing to compromise on. And a lot of times women can take things for granted. Oh, okay, I got 5 kids. I don't need this. I can do better all by myself. I can do something. And then you get back out there and you have 5 kids for sure. And then you find out oh shit, the market is not what I thought it was. And that's what I think is happening here. And, a lot of guys go through this in America, especially with a lot of black men. A lot of men are just really suffering because, they can't get the spark back. A lot of guys stay in relationships because they remember how it used to be. Okay. They remember how it used to be. But what happens is, it never gets back to that. You're praying that it gets back to that, sexual experience, or it gets back to an experience of whatever. You're hoping. And guess what? It never happens. Women will say, I'm sorry, I'll do this, I'll work on it, but the action's not meeting up. And unfortunately for most women, most guys don't have the balls to do it, so they just stay. And then it gets worse and worse. But if you're a guy like Albert Pujols and you have options you can do better than what you're getting right now, then you will. And it only works for guys who don't believe that they can do better. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at all-time high. I'm out.